Mr. Speaker, sir, I had a project together with the municipality of Port Louis to renew Estad Kaya that was last year. We reopened the stadium last year. You know what it was, Mr. Speaker, the cloakroom at Estad Kaya? It was a den for drug addicts and prostitutes. That's what it was. That's what it was, the cloakroom of Estad Kaya. We went there, cleaned everything, and refurbished the whole place, and the stadium as well. And now the young people are enjoying Estad Kaya. And he's not happy with that. The fact that we have removed the drug addict, we have removed the prostitute, he's not happy with that. And no, that's not finished. And in the program of the municipality of Port Louis, we are going to have an irrigation system for Estad Kaya to make it better. Because we know it's very hot in Port Louis, and we have to do this system. So we are going to work on that. And then he came about Prespeak. About 6 months ago, I inaugurated a scientific pitch at Prespeak. C'était mon projet. My goodness. You were there for about 10 years. You have not done anything. When we came, we've done it, c'était mon projet. I mean, what do you do to that? I don't know. I don't understand this kind of logic, this kind of people. And then Estad Mamnad Elahi. There is no water in the toilet. I think he's got a fixation with the toilet. Was he thirsty encore? Est-ce qu'il se soif encore? I don't understand. Centre 1er février à Rochebois. It's leaking. This has been repaired a long time ago. The flooring has been done, Mr. Speaker. I don't know in what age he's living. And Sant Goumani as well. I mean, he's complaining about Sant Goumani. But I think about a week ago, he asked permission from the Municipal Council of Port Louis to go and have his congrès dans Sant Goumani. And he's complaining about the Sant Goumani. Everybody in Plaine Verte, I can assure you, in surrounding areas, are appreciating what we have done to this Sant. What a mess it was before, and what we have done. And I can tell you, now the booking for Sant Goumani, now this Sant is booked till the end of the year and maybe beginning of the new year as well. And he's complaining about the center. Just goes to show. And again, near the Sant Goumani, we are building the sports center. He's saying that I have destroyed the children's playground for my ego. Mr. Speaker, sir, if I have removed the children's playground there, I have transferred it to where the kiosk is. But sometimes I suppose ignorance is bliss. He should have known better, but I suppose some people live in like that. What I've done, I've moved the children's playground to where the kiosk is, and then we are going to build a new sports center. You know, Mr. Speaker, I've known Plaine Verte. I was born in Plaine Verte. I grew up in Plaine Verte. I know the problem of Plaine Verte. I was a municipal councillor for Plaine Verte, and I'm an MP for Plaine Verte. So I know the problem of Plaine Verte. These people cannot teach me what needs to be done from Plaine Verte. Talking about ego, he said, I moved this playground for my own ego. But you would agree, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wonder who has a hyper-inflated ego. Is it me or the honourable member? I'll leave that with the member of the House and the public to decide. And yesterday, Honourable Juman, gouvernement inoublié numéro 3. Well, let me remind him as well. Gouvernement oublié numéro 3. But gouvernement in dépense 130 millions pour faire the water system à la Plaine Verte et 133 millions pareil à Rochebois. Appelle oublier ça. And this work was done because the last time this work was done was 50 years ago, Mr. Speaker, sir. This government, when we came, 130 millions à la Plaine Verte, 130 millions à Rochebois. On a oublié Plaine Verte, on a oublié numéro 3. Centre Edus Goumani I've just mentioned. 50 million rupees already open. we have done 2 other municipal centers, La Route Militaire and Canal Bache Street. Planvert Sport Arena, which we are doing now, that's going to cost 150 million rupees. The work has started, and maybe in about 9 months, the work is going to be completed. Is that what you mean we have in the Neglis Planvert? A new area health center is coming, is going to be opened by the Minister of Health in a few months' time. Second opening Neglis Planvert. Apart from that, there was another area health centers for Rochebois as well. But because the contractor was not doing the work properly, the Minister of Health has changed the contractor. We are going to put a new contractor to get the work done. And does that mean the work is not being done in Planvert and in Rochebois? Camp-Yolof, we have work are being done as well there in the community center. And just to tell him as well, because sometimes he would say he won't know about it, at Renaissance Center, we are going to have another multi-purpose hall there at the tune of about 20 to about 35 million rupees. And the Centre BAT, which has been there, I think, for about 20 years, il est dépassé maintenant. So we are going to have an extension of Centre BAT. Does that mean that we are neglecting Planvert? Coming to Rochebois. Recently, the Minister of Public Infrastructure, he inaugurated the KD roundabout, the structure that had been done as a roundabout. At the same time, they have just done an overhead pedestrian crossing for the inhabitant of Rochebois to connect Colchester to the other side of the motorway. You know, Mr. Speaker, the inhabitant has been asking for this pedestrian crossing for about 15 years. And what did the Honorable Shakil Mohammed, has he done anything for the last 15 years? Nothing. Because on that stretch of motorway, just to give you an idea, Mr. Speaker, sir, you have about 6,000 vehicles which cross that motorway every hour. How can you expect mothers and children to walk across that motorway to go to the other side, to take a bus to go to school in the morning and to return home in the afternoon? How? How can you expect people to do that? He didn't do anything. And we have done it a few months ago. I think it's operational, a couple of weeks ago, I think. Yeah. And then he's complaining we are not doing anything. And in Colchester as well. Colchester is one of the poorest places. In Rochebois, there's a lot of work needs to be done. And Colchester is a part of Rochebois, and it's much worse. It's a worse area in Rochebois, if you can say that, Mr. Speaker. And now, about a month ago, the Minister of Housing and Land has given us 1 acre of land in Colchester to do a municipal center, to do a synthetic pitch for the young, the enfants, a pétanque pitch. About a month ago, we have got the land, and now we are going to build to make this project. And we are not doing anything about in Rochebois. And yesterday, the Honorable Esan Juman said that for the 400 houses we are going to do, Pénéglise Planvert, inoublié Planvert. We are not going to do it in Planvert, we are going to do it outside Planvert. We are going to do about 200 in Bedestombo and 200 at Arsenal, 200 houses. He wants the houses to be done in Planvert. But as we all know, Planvert is one of the smallest constituencies in terms of area, surface area. Where do we have land to do housing? 200 housing. Now, with 200 housing, which means you're going to have multiplied by 4 at least, you're going to have, imagine, about 1,000 people. It's so overcrowded, Planvert. You want to put more people in Planvert? Or do you want to put in a place where it's going to be better for them? L'environnement là is going to be better and everything. I would ask him to discuss with his colleague who is sitting next to him, Nando Bedel. Nando Bedel is an urbanist. Ask him whether it is good to put so many people together in the same place. Auxiliary sociologists, auxiliary psychologists, they would tell you if you overcrowd a place, you're going sooner or later, you're going to get more social problem. But he can't seem to understand. He wants to put it in plain view. Never mind what's going to happen in the future. No, never mind. Tomorrow we are going to have a problem. Never mind. But he wants to put the housing in plain view. And the government, apart from plain view, we are going to put 200 houses in Bejitombo as well. And he said, well, what did he say about for Rochebois? Why are putting them in Bejitombo? We should have removed the Mauritius Meat Authority and put it where the Mauritius Meat Authority is. Mr. Speaker, sir, the inhabitants of Rochebois, they are complaining about the rubbish dump that we have in Rochebois. It's affecting their health. Is it wise to put 200 houses where the MMA is now, which is near the rubbish dump? Is that what you want? Is that the kind of project you want to bring to Rochebois? The inhabitants of Rochebois, don't they deserve a better lot than this? To be placed near the rubbish dump? I can't understand this kind of logic from these people sometimes, Mr. Speaker. Next, he was criticizing me about Kurmani. And together with Honorable Amir, together with Honorable Amir, and Mr. Honorable Yutim mentioned it as well. Mr. Speaker, sir, since we came here, this government came, we have been trying to improve the situation. Because we know we have, as far as importation of cattle is concerned, we have a monopolistic situation in Mauritius. And when we have this kind of situation, it's difficult to control the price. Since we came in late 2014, that is 2015, when we started working on that, we have been trying to see how we can decrease the price. I'll just give you an idea, Mr. Speaker. 2014, when the Labour Party was here, the price of cattle per kg was 139 rupees 50. And when we came in 2015, we negotiated with the importers. It was 125 rupees. Came down. The next year, there was no COVID, nothing in 2014. The price was 139. 1 year later, when we negotiated with them, it came down to 125. 2016, 129. 2017, 135. 2018, 134. 2019, 132. 2020, 136. All the time below the 2014 figure. That's what we have been doing. And he said we are not doing anything. The price went up for 2021 and 2022 because of COVID and the increase in freight. And he said we are not doing anything. And apart from this, the government decided that we are going to import cattle. It's not just cattle for Eid al-Adha, but also goat and sheep for the festive season at the end of the year. We were working on this, Mr. Speaker, sir. Okay, I know I said we are going to import it for the Eid al-Adha, which is coming in about a couple of weeks, and we didn't manage to make it. Because with time constraint, we did not manage it. Why? Wow. We have failed, we have done this, we have done that, but we have been working. Since we came here, we have been working to control the price. Okay, it didn't work this time, but we'll continue to work. We'll continue to work because the government and that's why the government has, in the annexes mentioned, we have changed the regulation for MMA to import cattle and sheep and goat and all that. That's why the government is coming to that, so that we can give a better deal to these people. We don't want these people to be fleeced each and every year by some importers. That's how it is, the situation, Mr. Speaker, now. The government realized it. We have been working on it. Okay, I agree. We didn't manage this year. But as we say, inshallah, next year we'll do it. And they're criticizing me for that. When they were here, they did not do anything. Labour, I've just given the figure. The Labour Party did not do anything about the price. Adil Amir criticized me. What has he done for the last 15 years? He's been a member of this assembly. Nothing. Just post-question, nothing at all, nothing in the constituency. Not one project in the constituency, but criticizing. Good at criticizing. Pan block lipan meti pala. You know, just criticize. That's what they are good at. But I don't give a damn about that, sorry. I don't care about that. But I mean, you have missed a bit of sense. For 15 years, you have done nothing. And you have the gut to criticize us. Shakil Mohammed was criticizing me again about the garden. Killing fair push out the plan wert. Killing fair, Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, sir. Important decano made done that's all. That's all he's done. And criticizing me. And now we have got, in this budget, it's mentioned now, we have got money to revamp Vazodia Plan Wert again. In this budget, it's mentioned. And he has the gut to come and criticize us. You know, it's so easy to criticize. It just comes just like that. That's it. And just criticize and just barge away. It just goes away. No, but we don't have any lesson to hear from these people. We don't have any lesson to take from these people, Mr. Speaker, sir. After a few words, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me to come back to my budget speech. As I mentioned earlier, some members of the opposition cannot digest that despite all the economic difficulties that we are facing, the Minister of Finance has been able to craft a budget that takes into consideration the needs of all the population. As we are all aware, the main issues that's affecting the population at present is rising cost of living. We're all aware of that. We know that. Obviously, we as a caring government are very much concerned about this issue. The population is suffering from these two disastrous events, from the COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine. And we all know how the cost of living has gone up, affecting the purchasing power of everybody, be it a member of the vulnerable group of society or even members of the middle class as well. This government is investing around 4.3 billion rupees to sustain the purchasing power of more than 350,000 individuals, Mr. Speaker. Yes, Mr. Speaker, this government cares, whatever the opposition think. We have done it before, we are doing it now, and we'll continue to care. Despite the fact that we face the worst crisis of our economic history, the Minister of Finance has dared to come with measures to alleviate the financial situation of all the categories of the population. The panoply of measures is unprecedented. There are so many measures in this budget that it's difficult to enumerate all of them. The Minister of Finance has taken full 2 hours to enumerate them. Obviously, I won't go through them line by line again, because each budgetary item has been crafted to help to ease the financial burden of the Mauritian population, Mr. Speaker. This is being done for the different age group. Firstly, the babies and children up to 3 years are being given a monthly child support of 2,000 rupees. We appreciate it's difficult when a mother has small children. You have a lot of extra additional expenses. That's why the Minister of Finance has come with this. Same for the young people. They're getting 20,000 as soon as they reach 18. Has that ever been done, Mr. Speaker, a measure like that? Never. Mr. Speaker, sir, despite all the criticisms that we have heard in this House, it is an encouragement and a step in the right direction for these young people. This is an unprecedented measure, as I mentioned. And I'm confident in the future, as the situation improves further, this government is going to do much more for our youth. Government is maintaining the CHG allowance. Working families with an income of 25,000 to 50,000 monthly will be paid an allowance of 1,000 monthly, while those earning 25,000 and less will be paid an allowance of 2,000 monthly. Moreover, this budget has made sure that no individual with a full-time employment will receive a revenue less than 15,000. And we came with a minimum wage recently, a couple of years ago. Before we knew what some people were earning per month, 1,500 per month. Some women cleaners were getting 2,000, 2,500. Now the minimum would be 15,000. Within what, 6, 7 years? More than 10 times, nearly 10 times. The salary of those getting 12,000 will now be topped by the government, so that the minimum income for anybody working full-time will be 15,000. The personal income tax has been reformed to provide additional income to the families. This will also be an incentive to attract young Mauritians who are studying abroad and foreign talent, because let's face it, without them, we will not be able to sustain high level of growth and develop new economic sectors. We on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have no qualm. We support this budget completely, whatever l'état d'âme de l'opposition. Deep down in our heart, we know that the measures announced in this budget are going to ease the financial burden of the population, and we gladly support the Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister in this endeavor. Mr. Speaker, I'll just now mention a few words about the National Disaster and Risk Management Center. In the World Risk Report, I'm going to mention the ranking of Mauritius in the World Risk Report. Now, by the way, if you are ranked the first, it is a worst ranking. I just want everybody to understand that. If you're first, you're worst ranking. In 2014, we were 14th. 2019, 47th. 2021, 51. And 2022, 107 out of 193 countries. As you see, the risk to disasters are improving in Mauritius. As I've given you, this is a World Risk Report Index. I've taken it from 2014 to 2022. Obviously, climate change is exacerbating the extreme weather event, and the past summer, 2022-2023, observed 6 out of the 8 storms reaching tropical cyclone or higher intensity. One of the worst ones was Cyclone Freddy, which was a Category 5, Mr. Speaker, Category 5 cyclone. We know how long it stays in the Southeast Indian Ocean basin. And we know what kind of damage it did in Madagascar, Mozambique, and Tanzania. We were lucky it didn't come directly toward Mauritius. If not, the situation would have been catastrophic, Mr. Speaker. Sir. But in the future, we should be ready for this kind of Category 5 cyclone. That's why the MMS, the National Disaster Center, Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service, and the local authorities are working together, trying to mitigate the effect of these adverse weather conditions. Thus, the National Disaster Risk Management Center has already completed the phase 1 of the national project for National Multi-Hazard Emergency Alert System. The implementation of the second phase of this alert system namely the Cell Broadcast Center, is being envisaged in the coming financial year. The Cell Broadcast Center will allow for the sending of messages to all smartphones within chosen geographical areas. And here it's very important, geographical areas, because now we know that with flash flood, sometimes it doesn't affect the island at one go. It can be in the north, in the south, in the central plateau, in the west. It is very regional nowadays. That's why we have developed this cell broadcast so that we can send the message to specific geographical centers. Upon completion, the whole population will be able to get emergency alert wherever they are in Mauritius. As far as the MMS is concerned, they are procuring the Synergy Web. This is a modern web-based forecasting meteorological information system, compliant with international requirements. This system has been proven in many countries and will optimize the use of Transmet system. Additionally, the MMS would be upgrading its IT network infrastructure for better communication and optimum use of the new servers that have been received within the CLIMSA project, namely one server for climate action and one server to integrate early warning system. The MMS will be procuring other servers to run a high-resolution limited area model. That's a very important one, Mr. Speaker, for Mauritius, so that you can get detailed information. Because when we get information overseas sometime, it is for a bigger area. But we want to get Mauritius being a small place, we have to get more kind of detailed information. And that's where the high-resolution limited area model for Mauritius and the South Island is coming. This will enhance the capability of the Mauritius Meteorological Service to provide accurate forecasts in a timely manner and also to develop an operational flood model. The MMS would also be upgrading the storm surges model for better forecasting of incoming heavy swells and storm surges during passage of cyclone. In the next financial year, the MMS is planning to construct a new headquarters at Vakwa to have adequate space to accommodate all the new equipment and to improve the service as well. In collaboration with Rorick Regional Assembly, MMS is procuring 2 automated weather stations and were installed at Chons and Rivière Banane. A wave rider was also procured and installed at Port Sud-Est. This wave rider is providing real-time observation on the wave height, direction of wave and swells, and the temperature of sea surface. As for the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service, Mr. Speaker, sir, currently we are operating 11 fire stations throughout the island, namely at Port-Louis, Triolet, Piton, Coromandel, Quatre-Bornes, Tamarin, Kerpip, Mayberg, Rochebelle, Flac, and Saint-Aubert. The Mauritius Fire and Rescue Services has already embarked on the construction of 2 new fire stations at Goodlands and Montagne Blanche. Action is also being taken for the relocation of the Quatre-Bornes Fire Station and the construction of the headquarters of the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service on a plot of land already acquired at Chilip Avenue, Quatre-Bornes. Fire and other natural-related disasters incidents are increasing every year, as we know. The response time to attend to an incident is at present 9 minutes by the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service. But with a view of achieving a response time of 5 minutes, and now this is a gold standard. I'm not pretending, I'm not saying that tomorrow we are going to reach 5 minutes, but we have to work in this direction. Now it takes 5 minutes for the fire to reach the place where you have an incident, but now we are trying to improve the time. To attend to these, so that we can attend to these emergencies quicker, the government is coming with satellite fire stations all around the island. And this will be constructed in order to provide, as I mentioned, efficient service to the community. Because now, because the work that the fire service has to do, Mr. Speaker, is not only extinguishing fire, because now they have to take care about flash flood and all type of flooding, which are more common in Mauritius. So that's why they have to be near the habitation area, and they have to respond very quickly. That's why we are working on the satellite fire station. We have already worked on it. This is going to be different from the ordinary fire station, as the satellite fire station will be equipped with 2 bays and 1 water tender. We have already identified 16 locations for this 16 satellite station. And provision in this budget has been made for 8. And there would be 8 satellite stations in this first year. At La Golette, Semi-Grenier, Bambou-Verrier, Bel-Air, Saint-Pierre, Bambou, Grand-Bois, and L'Escalier. Mr. Speaker, this is an unprecedented measure, Mr. Speaker, sir. 8 satellite fire stations in 1 year, in the budget in 1 year. Okay, it's going to take us time. We'll have to find the land, we'll have to get to work on the project and everything. It's going to take a bit of time. But the decision has been taken, Mr. Speaker, sir. This has never been done before. We realize that with the frequent occurring of flash flood, as I mentioned, the fire service should be nearer to the different towns and villages to provide a prompt service. Mr. Speaker, the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Center is playing a very important role in coordinating the management of the different types of disaster that we are facing. I have been to the New York personally during the flash flood and cyclones, and I can vouch for their efficiency and their professionalism. This service is providing on a 24 hours basis whenever we have a disaster and whenever a disaster is declared. Allow me to mention another initiative which will be the first of its kind, Mr. Speaker, sir. From the 19th to the 23rd of June 2023, that is in a couple of weeks, Mauritius is going to organize a mass casualty evacuation at sea. We have never done that, Mr. Speaker. If tomorrow we have a major incident happening on, I don't know, a cruise ship or whatever, in our economic zone, how do we cope? We have never had any exercise. This is the first time we are going to do such an exercise. This unique workshop and exercise will be organized by the Prime Minister's Office in collaboration with the National Disaster Center and other agencies. The objective of the workshop is to formulate and implement a mass evacuation plan, as I mentioned, in our economic zone. This workshop will be conducted by a team of United States trainers, whereby a tabletop simulation exercise will be carried out initially, and this will be followed by a simulation exercise of the actual physical evacuation at sea. It won't be just a tabletop exercise, but actually an actual exercise at sea. It will be carried out from a casualty site near the port area. This will be a good opportunity for us to test the National Maritime Search and Rescue Plan, Mr. Speaker. This will allow us to test our capabilities and also to identify our shortcomings. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to say now to highlight the main achievement in my ministry, the Ministry of Local Government. It is an undeniable fact that we have achieved much more in terms of capital projects. At the level of the local authorities, we have implemented around 3,000 projects between 2015 and 2022 for a total amount of 5 billion rupees. As I speak, we have 1,204 projects in the pipeline, and the implementation estimated in the pipeline or and the implementation estimated at 3 million rupees. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me just to cite just a few examples of the major capital projects that we have completed so far or are reaching completion. We have completed the construction of the headquarters of District Council of Pamplemousse and Flac. As you know, they were separated in 2011, but no provision was made at that time. We have completed these 2 projects. And now, hopefully, someone will be completed by later this year or early next year. New market fair at Goodland and Chemigrenier and Bel Air are nearing completion. Upgrading and renovation of multi-purpose complex at Gomani, I've just mentioned it before. We have completed the renovation of the town hall of Kirpip. We all know in what state that building was. We all know. And now it's a real jewel in the town of Kirpip, Mr. Speaker. Sir. To support our youth, we have implemented several mini soccer pitches throughout the island, and many more would be implemented in the next financial year, for which funds have been provided. We have already started on construction of a sport arena in Plainvert, as I mentioned earlier. Similarly, we have other gymnasia which would be constructed, namely at Stanley, Saint Felix, whereas at Coram is being presently renovated and would be completed by September 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, to improve the day-to-day living condition of our countrymen, we have initiated many small community development projects, which are being financed under the Indian grant assistance to the tune of 250 million rupees. All these projects will be implemented in the financial year 2023-2024 across the island. The implementation of the Metro Express has given rise to opportunities for the redevelopment of strategically located areas around our cities and towns into modern urban terminals. Besides the Victoria Urban Terminal, 5 modern urban terminals would be developed through private sector participation along the metro corridors from Port Louis to Kirpip. As we all know, the Victoria Urban Terminal is already in operation. As regards Vaqua and Cardboard Urban Terminal, the request for proposal document has already been launched, and the RFP document for the Kirpip Urban Terminal is under preparation. With respect to Rosehill Urban Terminal, the Ministry of Housing and Land Use Permit is currently looking into the possibility of acquiring additional plot of land in order to make that project a much better project still. And for immigration, I'm afraid, I know we are a bit late, but we are waiting for UNESCO. We can't start that project. We've got a contractor, we've got a promoter, but unfortunately we have to wait to get the okay from UNESCO, then we can proceed with the project. To decrease our carbon footprint, solar-powered street lighting will be installed across the island to replace LED and other lighting. The Municipal Council of Catrabon has already completed the installation of solar voltaic system on its administrative building, and presently it is autonomous in terms of electricity production and consumption. The Municipal Council of Port Louis is going to install new solar voltaic panel at its headquarters. Mr. Speaker, similarly, we have many other green projects. For instance, we are completing the Promenade Forecourt at Catrabon. Another project which I mentioned earlier is a rejuvenation of Plainvert Garden, which will be implemented in this coming financial year. The main objective of this project will be that of using all the means to make a zero energy and zero carbon, green, sustainable park. This will also contribute to the health and wellness of our citizens and converting this place into a safer, hopefully, into a safer and healthier place for our children and youth. As promised, the municipal tax on primary residence has been abolished with effect from the 1st of July 2022. This has benefited around 150,000 households at a cost of 184 million rupees annually to the government. I wish also to highlight that the exemption of municipal tax on family home regulation 2022 was promulgated on the 27th of October 2023. As announced in the budget, during the next financial year, all religious institutions in the municipal area will also be exempted from the payment of municipal tax, since we, as a government, we strongly believe that everyone should be given all the facilities required to practice their religion and culture. With a view to modernize the service of the local authorities, my ministry, we have been working on that for some time, but the project is continuing. I'm just mentioning it. My ministry has embarked and is continuing the project of an array of digitalization projects and technological innovation. The I-Council project management software was developed by the Council to organize and supervise implementation of the project being implemented at all levels. Now, about drain construction, Mr. Speaker. In this financial year, various of looking after children suffering from diabetes when I was working at G2 Hospital. Childhood diabetes is different from adult diabetes, Mr. Speaker. Depending on their condition, these children need blood tests and insulin injection about 2 or 3 times every day. You can imagine, Mr. Speaker, how traumatic it is for a child to have so many injections, so many needles every day. And that's lifelong. That's lifelong, Mr. Speaker. And they have to inject themselves sometimes in the tummy or in the thigh, 2, 3, sometimes 4 times, depending on the condition. Similarly, when anybody is diagnosed with suffering from cancer, you can imagine how it's difficult for that particular patient. I can assure you, Mr. Speaker, when a child is diagnosed with cancer, it's much worse. Ça peut être, comme on dit, abasourdi. It's like a roof falling over their head when a child suffers from cancer. They're completely lost, doesn't know where to start, what to do. Is a treatment available? Is a child that we love so much are going to die? Is that the kind of questions that goes through their mind? Do they have the money to pay for the treatment? Sometimes, as you know, Mr. Speaker, when they go overseas for the initial treatment, after a few months, they have to go again for follow-up. Fairly frequently, they run out of money. And so many times, we have seen that these people are asking for donation in the newspapers. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's very difficult for these parents, and I welcome the measures taken by the Minister of Finance to help these children in distress. Honorable Mr. Padachi, my colleague, in the name of these children, I would like to thank you personally for this humane approach towards this unfortunate children. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, despite the difficult economic situation globally, In the two previous budgets, the government managed to ease the financial situation of the population to some degree. We realize the increasing cost of living is impacting negatively on the purchasing power of the population. In this budget, the government came with a raft of measures to improve the economic condition of the population across the board. The Minister of Finance has been successful in this exercise and has provided a masterstroke which nobody expected. I would like to end on this note, Mr. Speaker. The Gini coefficient, which measures the income inequality between rich and it measures the income inequality between rich and poor. The ideal outcome for the Gini coefficient is 1.0. In 2010, it was 4.1, and now it is 3.1, Mr. Speaker, and that speaks for itself. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Members will now suspend the sitting for 1.5 hours.